Here you go. All right. We're recording right now. Well, like I said, I already jumped to 44 seconds. So you already did your intro already.
Right, we're good to go.
Welcome to another episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck Podcast. Thank you to High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, JB Scale Graphics, 6B Apparel, Back Channel Productions with Nick Davis. We have a lot of good people that help us out.
That's great.
And also Justin Stories, too. And this episode, we're having Mr. Alan Pezo.
How you doing?
All hanging in there, enjoying
that's
this
a good time.
Right on. We always do like a timeline format and stuff like that. So we'll, lights are getting turned off. A light show's going on here. How did you get in started, and what intrigued you in the world of monster trucks? Because you started really young and in the beginning of the monster truck world in general.
Well, I'm as old as dirt, so I started, when dirt came into existence. But now, I happened to be at Pontiac Silverdale when Bigfoot was there and did a very, very first car crush that, anybody has ever seen. And at that point, as a young kid, that had such an impact on me. Is like, man, that's just the coolest thing I ever seen. And if I could ever someday figure out how to do that, that's what I'm going to do. And, I guess the rest they say is history, it's been pretty amazing to go from the beginning. When I built my first truck, it might have been 5 or 6 trucks in existence, and I was very early on, and then trying to figure out what parts to use and try to figure out how to make the thing, that was a huge hurdle back in those days, because you had to source the parts. You had to figure out, okay, is that part going to work? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? So it was pretty tough to get up and going, but I was very, very fortunate to be able to be early on, and it's still to this day still touring.
Mm-hmm. And then the original truck was actually called Lone Eagle, correct?
That is correct. 1983, we started
brand new, wasn't it?
We started building the truck. Bought a brand new 1984 Chevrolet, and I bought a 1-ton because we figured at that time we were going to use part of the original frame and dusted it up. So we bought a brand new 1-ton, figuring, okay, 1-ton's better than a half-ton, it's going to be stronger. And then it's got the truck home, got looking, it's like, that's going to be too much aggravation to basically take that apart, use it, whatever. So we ended up building a whole separate itself, and then transferred the body and the motor and transmission and all that over into the other chassis. And then, it got updated through the years. And then as we campaigned that truck to 1988. And when Chevrolet changed the body style in 88 is when I switched to that body and renamed it as Predator from 1988 till today.
So you're one of the first that like, for example, people may not understand, like Kobe Bryant, he changed his uniform number,
right,
to get more T-shirt sales and stuff like that. You're one of the few guys that changed your identity. You were touring around for the longest time with the Lone Eagle,
correct,
truck, and then, like you said, with the body change in '88 and stuff like that, you wanted to form a different direction. What intrigued you to changing the name of the truck?
Well, I figured the body was totally different, paint job was totally different. So it's like, okay, well, at this point, why don't we just try something totally different? And actually, Jerry Richmond, Terminator, myself, we were sitting in a hotel room, as we were touring on the road. And, I don't know how each of us got, talking about it. So I'm changing the body and whatever, and thought about changing the name. So Jerry actually presented me with a name, which was pretty good, because he thought about using it on one of his trucks. And said, no, I'm not going to use it here. So you use it. Okay, it sounds pretty good. And it's been that way ever since.
That kind of remind me, how similar was your truck to Weapon 1? They seem like both similar trucks.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure. That's just been so many years ago, and I've been too many things since then. Yeah. Too many hard hits on the head. But back in the early days, a lot of trucks were very similar. Because you found something that worked, and you didn't want to step out of that comfort zone to try the next thing better, or think about something next thing better, because you wanted to be able to go out and do shows and not have to work on it all the time. So a lot of them in the early days were very similar. And then as time went by, then as you build your next truck, you look at, okay, well, this guy had a cool idea here. This guy had a cool idea here. Then you have ideas of your own, and you try to take the best of what that one had, the best of this one, and put them all together in one piece. And that's just how things evolved over the years. And, and technology has definitely helped, propel us to where we're at today.
So let's fast forward to, actually, I know a lot of people, that you would probably fast forward to your second truck or your first Predator to the 3D cat body. But the one thing I was kind of intrigued was you and Fred and maybe a couple others were probably the first to do the front 4-link truck. And what could you be able to help explain the difference between a typical 4-link style truck to a front 4-link?
Well, the idea there was, as racing basically started evolving, with a front 4-link truck, the front end of the front 4-link bars are attached to the front of the chassis. The back end's attached to the front side of the axle housing. So as you hit the ramp or hit cars, the idea or the theory behind it was that everything folds back up underneath the truck, so it flies through the obstacles versus taking a blunt hit and getting major air. So it was designed for racing, to where the trucks today, where the 4-link bars are from the center out to the back side of the front housing, and in order to have suspension movement, that takes a blunt hit, before it compresses the suspension. So now the trucks get air compared to what those trucks did, because those trucks just basically drove through the cars because everything just folded in natural progression back up underneath the chassis versus the new stuff that we have today.
That's pretty cool to learn about that stuff.
Yes.
And then, you also had the truck with the front engine and stuff like that. But, you are my fourth guest that has ran the Monster Wars series.
Yes.
Outside, I interviewed Rob Fuchs, Mark Bendler, and David Morris.
Very cool.
And they all gave me pretty good stories behind because when they did the Monster Wars, First Blood, he built his truck a whole new identity.
Right.
The Monster Wars guys contacted Mark Bendler, and they wanted to do a Sasquatch type, character. And then when I talked to David Morris, he wasn't for it, but
right.
But
exactly.
He had to change a little bit of his tweaking of Equalizer.
Yep.
And pretty much, when people think of Monster Wars, they definitely put you and your truck in that category of iconic characters and stuff like that.
Cool,
so how did that started?
The beginning of that Monster Wars deal was in 1993, I guess was the first year that we actually ran that. My concept body had been out since 1990. And at that time, SRO Pace or SRO, really liked that concept. And when they presented it to the Monster Wars people, they were just ecstatic with it because it was so much different than everything else. And then, the character that they came up with it on the TV show, which I wasn't a fan of, but it's just the way it was. But it's definitely been a huge success because it is so much different than everything else that's out there.
You're already coming up with the idea of the 3D cat body long before the Monster Wars.
That was done 3 years prior to that.
Yeah. So pretty much when they saw it, it just not magically, but everything was put together kind of perfectly.
Absolutely. It fit their bill, what they wanted, and and it worked out very, very well.
Now, David Morris told me a story, and it was pretty funny. You guys were in Tampa, Florida. I guess they were doing something where the guys are coming out, the characters are jumping out of the airplane with parachutes.
Right.
And David was like outside of his truck, and he's looking up, and he sees all the characters, and he sees this one guy going out of control with his parachute. He's like, "Who's that guy?" He finds out it's the Captain America lookalike Equalizer, and he gets stuck on the fence. He's like, "That's my guy." He just and then he saw that he just climbed up in the truck and just sat there. And, like as soon as national anthem was over with, he's like, I don't want nothing to do with it. But every driver I have talked to has pretty much not liked these characters.
No, at that time I didn't care for them at all either. Because and we've been doing the Penda races, at that point, and some of the other races, and to me, we wanted legitimacy. Try to get this thing as a real deal sport, and to me, the cart that made it look like a cartoonish type deal, and never got any real legitimacy with all that. So I was like, no, I'm not in it at all.
You must have been really, really busy during, like, I mean, you're busy right now, but I'm talking about when the Monster Wars came out and the 3D body truck. You were one of the most popular monster trucks. You still are, but I'm saying like popular, mainstream.
Yeah, I've been very, very fortunate in my career. And I don't know how I've done it, but I've made very good decisions, where to go, when to go. And I guess that helps with my longevity. This coming January of 22 starts 39 years, that I've been doing this. And it's been very good to me. And I guess I've been able to think outside the box a lot, and keep things new and fresh, and and give people something different that they have not seen.
Mm-hmm. And it's you further down the line, you start experimenting more with the trucks. You went to Patrick, and then a lot of people. I think a lot of people give they talk about how Dennis was freestyling, the creator of it, and stuff like that. But I mean, myself, I believe you really took a lot of part and helped out of it, because I remember when I was little, a lot of the highlight reels was either Predator or Gravedigger or Monster Patrol. It wasn't just
yes, absolutely, And
what were you thinking about, freestyling wise?
Well, my thought, and it doesn't matter whether it's back then, whether it's now. People come to be entertained. I want to be able to do my job at the best of my ability, make those people happy, so that way we have a job to be able to come back to. And if you don't do your job, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to come back. So now you're out of a job. And I've never ever looked at it that way. I always want to do the best I can. And I guess it drives me to do more, because some of the people that don't do the great job, which, I mean, everybody tries to, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And I have times where mine doesn't work out real well either. But you want to drive yourself to be the best that you can be out there, so that people remember you. And then when they remember you, they'll ask you to come back.
How do you feel that some of the moves that you did when freestyle was growing, that is still some of the highlight reels today?
Oh yeah,
like the I think it was actually a racing run, but people still may get confused. But it was that move that you did at the Superdome.
Oh yeah,
taking the tailgate off.
Oh yeah. I lost my glasses and all kinds of stuff that pass when it landed. That was a rough deal.
You did it again in 2000 in Atlanta too.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So
tell you what, that Patrick piece that you had really handled the abuse that you
absolutely. Dan builds a great product, and at that time I was so busy on the road, and I just called up Dan, because normally I build all my own stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just called up Dan. I said, "Look, Dan, I'm busy. Can you build me a bare chassis?" Yeah, we can do that. So he basically built me all the tubes, everything, and I went in and finished everything else out, because I was so busy on the road. I didn't have time to sit in the shop and do all that too. And it's been a great piece. I should actually still have that truck touring yet. It runs the Prowler and the Pouncer body on it right now at this time, and I still have it. It's been a great piece. You figure, when we originally built that truck, it was 1995, and that truck is still touring today.
Now, we'll talk about Prowler and Pouncer. What got you the idea to start adding additional kitties?
Well, it was from the early days. My second monster truck that I ever built, was a Ford Ranger. It was White Knight. Mm-hmm. At that time, the United States Hot Rod asked me if I could build a Ford truck for them, because at that time, Ford Chevrolet was the huge rivalry, back then. And, I already had the Chevrolet, and they said, "Well, if you build a Ford, we can put both these trucks together. Can you do that?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so I built a second truck. We campaigned that for a while, and I decided I wanted to go a different direction. So then I built a second Predator truck, and then, the tank and different things along the lines. And then as time went by, we got into cat bodies and, concept style bodies, and be able to make easier transition for trucks being at the same show. Like, well, we'll paint one body different than the other. So now we can put them both in the same trailer. One less rig on the road, two trucks at the show. Mm-hmm. And it just worked out very well. And
plus, with the nature of the world, that you don't have to come up with a different. No, I mean, it's easier to come up with a different identity, a type tiger.
Yes.
Yours
Yep.
is a panther.
Yep.
You could, what is a pouncer, a leopard, or
Cheetah.
a cheetah? Yeah,
Yep.
cheetah.
So it's worked out very, very well for me over the years, and being one of the very first concept bodies, now you look at all the trucks out there today, how many concept style bodies are out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool as an homage, kind of what we started, and like Bob started the monster truck deal, an homage to him. Look at how many trucks are out there, performing every week. It's pretty gratifying to know that we started something and it's just taken off from there.
So what intrigued you to doing some Dodge stuff, Ram trucks? I know you're one of the also the Hall Brothers patch with Hemis too. I know you still run the Pro MT body in time or two, but
absolutely.
What got you intrigued with the Rams?
Well, I've been a Dodge guy. My very first truck that I ever had was a 78 Dodge truck. I drove that to high school. And I've been a Dodge guy for pretty much my entire life. And then when we were running the Penda, racing series, Fred Schaefer comes in there with his Hemi and just absolutely dominates everything. And it's like, the way you're going to run with him is you got to join him. So we had bought, the first Hemi back in 92 or 93 and put that in the truck. And man, what a world of difference, and up to that point, I had Chevrolets and I bought the best parts that money could buy, but it still wasn't good enough to run with a cheap old Chevrolet or a cheap old Hemi that, you could buy. So when I switched over, it's like, oh my goodness, you can't believe the difference in power.
You still have those blocks, right?
I still do.
Like Dan Patrick, we did an interview with Dan, and also with my boss Tim and Mark. Dan, I guess, has a Hemi from like back in 1986, and I guess the way they're explaining about the Hemi in general, I guess you have to put a lot of money into it, but in the long run, though, it's a lot like easier in income, I guess.
I think it's cheap to operate because bearing life, main and rod bearings are 2 to 1 compared to a Chevrolet. So the initial investment, yes, you're going to spend more money, but maintenance is far more economical. It's a lot stronger, and that engine is designed to make horsepower. Where a Chevrolet, you go so far, it's never designed to make the kind of power that people want to make. Well, what happens when you go beyond the capabilities of what things are going to take? It starts blowing up. So the Hemi definitely helped, move things forward, as far as in my world, to help, maintenance wise and performance wise.
Now, your latest truck that you had, that's actually the cat front clip, but the rest of the body of it's a Ram, isn't it?
That's correct. Yep. In 07, well, actually, been before that because of the Pro MT deal, would have been early 2000s probably. I'm trying to think when that was, but
2000 to 2002,
something like that. That would have been my first Ram body. And then the newest black
seems
body.
It seems a lot.
I like the windshield is laid back a lot farther, so it makes it look sleek. Even sitting still, because everything's just laid back so far, it just looks really sleek. And everything I've got now is all Dodge bodies. So, I've been a Dodge guy, like I say, my entire life. So
right now you still have the blocks that you have, and and they're easy to fix.
Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago we windowed one, and it's beyond repair. Unfortunately, it probably can be repaired, but cost effective wise for what they want to repair it, just buy another block. But I have.
So have you went to the aluminum block like the Brand Andersons yet? Or
I have 3 of those, and I still got 4 or 5 key black blocks too.
Okay.
So I got 5 motors in rotation, but I actually have blocks and heads that I rotate out. As one needs to be refreshened, I rotate the heads out, I rotate the crank out, different things. That way, send those back to get freshened up. I already have fresh stuff to put back in the hole.
Yeah, it's just. So I love just horsepower.
Absolutely. I mean, there is nothing like horsepower. I can tell you. You know, when you flat get glued in the seat, there's no feeling on earth like it.
Speaking about that, because you got a chance to get the kitty running a little bit at the Outlaw Monster Truck Drags in Canfield.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for I guess
Parts
failure. The race between you and Joey could have been a different story.
Absolutely.
How was that opportunity, and how cool was it coming back to Canfield, Ohio?
I'll tell you, Canfield holds a lot of history from the Penda days and special events, doing jamborees and different things there, and being able to go back there. I won that event
96, I believe.
a few years prior. I guess a lot of years prior to that, but it was great to go back there, and then with the track looked very intimidating to a lot of people. But I've done buses and different things, many
You were
times.
like the only one down signing it though.
Right. And I did that purposely because, as you know, anytime that truck is in the air, you're losing forward momentum. So I would purposely land on the down ramp, get after it. And, sure, some people were ahead of me at that point, but that was purposely done so that you can use horsepower, to
By the end of the track, you're already ahead of them.
Yeah, by a long shot. Because, chances are, if you take a bad landing, now you got to correct for that. Well, anytime you got corrections in a short deal like that, you're screwed up. So I purposely did what I did. And then, final round, I've got pictures where I'm actually way ahead of Joey. And then the spider gears where the cross is, it's in the front end, the pins broke off and I lost front wheel drive. So when the back tires touched the ground, it got me sideways and over into his lane. It's like, well, I better find some brake pedal here before I T-bone him in the side. So that wouldn't have been very good, but it's been great.
How do you like the track though?
It was fun, absolutely fun. I definitely go back and do it again. They're talking about doing it again next year, so I would absolutely love to go back and do it again. One of my favorite races, anyway, is a straight line deal, and then just to put the buses out there, just to add a different feature to it, and it was very impressive. They did a fantastic job, doing the whole thing.
So now, I was talking to Joey, and he did the interview with me last night about his outlaw drags, and they're gonna do a lot more.
Right.
And he's trying hard to get drag racing monster truck style legitimate. And
that's where we kind of need to get back to, because the freestyle deal anymore just got so out of hand. Nobody can do on the level what some of these trucks are doing, because they're breaking so much in parts, and dollar wise, just nobody can keep up with that. And they've gone beyond the capability of what trucks will take and withstand. So why would you want to do that? And we need to go back to some different things that have been done in the past, like straight line drag racing, and show people actually how fast these trucks actually really are. I've been, along with your boss, doing the mile an hour deal, and I've been actually doing it from a standing start on the quarter mile, and trying to break that 100 mile an hour barrier. And I've come close. I run 96 and I run 98, and not quite made that, but I've actually had two problems. I kicked the rear drive shaft out on one and blew a motor up on the other. So, I was there to be able to make that 100 mile an hour pass. So I believe my third try, I should be well over that.
Yeah,
and I am looking forward to it. It's just
another Hemi.
Exactly.
Now you also were on that new on your newest Predator truck, the single shock.
Yep, I am the first one to actually go to a single shock. And theory is it's easier to tune one shock than it is two, and you got less moving parts. And it took me about 2 years to finally figure that out. And once I got it figured out, I'll never go back. It's just, that thing is like a mark.
Is that your built shocks, or is that
actually Steve Combs originally built them?
Okay,
but I had to go and redesign the valving piston. I had to redesign a bunch of stuff.
It's a lot of trial and error
to get it figured out. But we're there now, and I mean,
because definitely that shock angle that you have on the truck, it's not like typical like that, or some people are like up and down, or maybe like that. Yours is like that a little bit, kind of reminding me of the opposite of an overkill. Remember?
And the theory is there, you gain more wheel travel, with a shorter shock. You still gain, a lot more wheel travel, but the suspension with the 40 bars works in an arc. So the way that under compression, when it's compressed, it's pushing basically straight into that shock. So now it's 100% effective because it works in the motion of that 4-link bar. And plus being laid back instead of like a 26-inch travel, which the shock is a 26, well, now you gain almost 30 inches of travel because of the way it's laid back.
Now also, I mean, the motor too on this truck's
down in the center.
Mm-hmm.
I got ideas right now. I want to build one more brand new one, and I'll take what I've learned, from this one and apply it to the next one. And this truck works absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's the best piece that I've ever had, and I think that I got one more new good deal in mind that I want to try, and I think it'll be that much better than what I have now.
And also, I noticed that you've been tearing up and having fun with the half-scale versions. I know you build a lot of those.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Cole and his dad, the American Scout.
Yes.
They rocked your piece for a long time.
Yes,
they
did.
sold that to another personnel recently, and they just bought Andy Hoffman's Nightmare/War Wagon truck. So
absolutely.
And they're rocking the single shucks too.
Right.
But still, we'll go back to the subject of the half ones. You look like you're ripping those things, having fun. And...
absolutely. Believe it or not, I've done 7 of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
I've kept 2 for myself and my boys. I drive one sometimes, and my boys drive most all the other times. And I actually have more fun driving that than I do in a big truck. It's just amazing. I mean, they're so much fun. If anybody has a Razor or something like that out there, this is the next thing best over a Razor, in what they do. And these things fly just like the big trucks do and perform just like the big trucks do.
Now you have a little bit of a bigger motor behind you.
I do, because I'm stupid like that. I just can't be outdone, so I don't give all my customers all my good stuff,
Yeah.
So I got to have some for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's been great. Looking forward to, running them a lot more. My boys now are starting to drive them, so that's been good. And it's a cheaper version for people that may be interested in getting into our industry. We use them as fill acts in between, big rounds of big monsters. And the thing about it is you can haul them with a pickup truck. You can haul them on a car trailer. They only weigh 3,500 pounds. They're not a 10,000 pound truck, so you don't need a tractor trailer to haul them. And, it's just an effective way for somebody to get interested in our industry.
Mm-hmm. And then you also, cool to see Colton and his dad grow from that to where they're at using the equipment that you had built. How awesome is that, seeing someone that is growing to become is growing to proceed to be a good monster truck driver?
Well, instrumental in helping somebody advance themselves and move up into the industry. I've built trucks for other people throughout my entire career. I've probably done 30 or 40 trucks, between all the trucks I built for customers plus my own and everything like that. So that's one of my other passions, is being in the shop and creating. It's just, to me, it's amazing. You take a pile of steel laying on the floor and have an idea in your head and come out with a finished product, and the finished product works very well. And like in Colton's case, they campaigned that truck for 5 years, had very, very minimal trouble, great success, and now they're moving up to the big trucks, and it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And also now you actually sold one of your trucks down to the West, and they did some changes, stuff like that, but still the chassis of your previous trucks running today.
Correct.
And that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I've downsized a little bit. I've actually sold 2 of my race trucks.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm down to 2. I've got one more, the Patrick chassis truck. I would like to sell it, and I want to build one more new one, which is going to be very, very similar to the newest one I have. So that way now when I put it in the trailer, one spare part fits either one. I don't have to worry about, okay, do I have parts in the trailer for this? Do I have parts in the trailer for that? And it just trying to simplify and streamline things is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Not that I really want to sell it, but
logistically it's got to
help, and I've got other interests that I'm working on as well, and I don't have the time to devote to multiple trucks like I did before. I mean, I campaigned 6 trucks for over 20 years, and that's taken its toll over the years, trying to keep everything going, You can see all the gray hairs are starting to creep in, because his age comes. But I've got other interests I want to do, and I'm a huge drag race fan, and I'm in the process right now of building a pro mod car.
Oh.
And I'm 3/4 of the way done with it right now, and I should have it ready for March of 22 to go start campaigning it. I've been helping a very good friend of mine, Wayne Smolzanik. He's been running the Street Outlaws deal now for the last 2 years, and I've been crewing and helping him do that. And so we're actually going to team up, and we're going to run my car and his car on Street Outlaws program, and looking forward to that.
And you still riding street bikes time too?
No, I pretty much gave all that up years ago. I just,
I know Monster Wars did an article about that for you.
Yeah, when my kids came along, I was like, I don't need to be out here and being a fatherless kid, so I was like, no, I gave that up years ago. But
gotcha.
But I still like snowmobiling, which we still do every now and then, and when I get a chance. But playing with a boat, we still have the boat and things like that. But
talk about, we're here at the Hall of Fame, and when this all started, you're one of the first to be like, what, let's bring back the past as a history, past to let people know about the history.
In general, in 2009, I restored my original truck. And at that time, Jeff Cook was actually restoring his original truck. And he didn't have no idea, and I didn't have any idea. And when Pontiac Silverdome reopened, we did that first show back there, and I brought my truck up and debuted the rebuild back. Well, Jeff caught wind of it. And on that Monday morning after I got home from the show, he said, man, I didn't realize you were putting your truck back together. And so we got talking, and one thing led to another. And I said, man, we got to, because we had lost touch with each other, 4 or 5 years we hadn't talked, or more. And I said, history. So we got our heads together and decided, man, this would be a great thing if we started a Hall of Fame. That way we could document the entire history of our industry and preserve it for future generations, because unfortunately the fans today don't know where we started from. They see all these trucks and what they're doing today, but they don't realize this is not where we started from. And all the years leading up to this basically are lost. So it was in my mind, we need to bring some of that back, because when I restored mine, my idea, because I do shows of my own, and I actually wanted to restore mine and show people this is the transition from beginning to current to the next generation. And I want to use it as an educational tool. And so Jeff and I got together, and we came up with the idea, okay, let's do a Hall of Fame. And that's how basically it all started.
And that's awesome. And then, like you said, you build your truck, and it's always pristine. All your trucks are pristine.
Unfortunately anymore, bodies get damaged, and sometimes you can't make all the bodies look great, but it's just that nature of the beast. These are not a trailer queen. They go out and they get.
I was talking about your original one.
Oh yeah,
your original.
Yeah. The new ones, man, they go out and they get abused every week, so it's tough to keep them looking like new every time. But I've got some ideas for some old school stuff yet.
Are you ever going to think about rebuilding the Lone Eagle?
I drive that truck every day, believe it or not.
Really?
When I took the body off the monster truck chassis, I put it back on its original frame, and I've been driving it ever since.
Okay, so you also still have...
I still have it, and I drive it almost every day. It's been great. It's in need of a paint job right now because the sun has faded it out pretty badly, but I still have it in my possession, and it'll never go nowhere. That's part of my history, and my kids will have to figure out what to do with it, because it's not going anywhere out of my possession until I'm gone.
Right. It's still pretty cool that you're the longevity that you've been running. From the videos I've seen you when you won at Hamburg in '87.
Yeah.
Canfield and the mid '90s to
yes.
Winning some Monster Jam events in today's Monster Jam world.
Absolutely. Georgia Dome, I won that deal 3 years in a row. Now they won't take me back. It's like, come on, really? San Antonio, the Alamo Dome, I won on that 3 years, take me back. It's like, come on, you're two of my favorite buildings and you won't take me back. It's like, what's up? But no, it's been great. I've been very fortunate in my career, and
you have raced in every single state in the continental United States. Have you?
Alaska is the only state that I have not done. I need to do that before I can retire. I've been to every province of Canada except for Northwest Territories and Yukon. So I need to do basically Alaska, Northwest Territories, and Yukon all on the same trip. So that way I can
anywhere in snow country.
I can knock that off, off my bucket list. And then been to Mexico, been to Central America, been to Puerto Rico, been to Hawaii 3 times. It's been an absolute phenomenal career to be able to travel all over the world and meet different people and still going after all these years. It's amazing.
Is it also pretty cool seeing fans that when I don't want to feel old, but when they're younger, now they're grown up and they have their kids and they still recognize the cat truck in you.
Absolutely. I got fans from basically when I was had the Lone Eagle body or Lone Eagle truck running, and they're still fans, and they followed me through all the years. And like you said, they were a young child at that point. Now they have kids, bring them to the shows, and it's amazing to think back that, man, we started this and it's still going strong today. Because when we started, we had no idea that we would be here 40 plus years later.
Now I'm gonna go. I know this is off my timeline topic, but I was really curious about we previously mentioned about you had the 3D cat body started in 1990, but tell me the story and the steps of how did you even come up with the idea, and who was willing to take a risk, not I guess a risk, but take the challenge on making that, because this compared to the snake or a bull, it's kind of like there's a lot more curvatures and contours on it. So how did the process of that happen? What got you the idea of the cat?
Well, the idea actually came from the name. At that time, everybody had a Ford, Dodge, or Chevrolet, and I wanted to set myself apart because as a fan comes in, you need to leave them with a lasting impression of, what's going to make a memory. Well, that body over there is freaking awesome. That's a cat body. So that made it to where people remembered it. And so in order to come up with the idea, I took the name Predator, and what does the truck do? It preys on cars. It crushes cars. So Predator eats cars. And it's like, well, maybe we make an animal out of it because, animals are predators of, the food chain, and just kind of came up with it that way. And then GTS Fiberglass was making all of our fiberglass bodies at that time. And George Link, was a good friend of mine. I said, George, can you do this? I said, well, yeah, I can do that. And, he was the guy that carved out the first piece and made the mold, which was very expensive at that time, and laying all out on line because, nobody had anything like that. It's like, well, this could be a career defining moment or, a total failure, but it worked out in our favor. And George Link actually made the first piece for me.
Now, off topic, really, it's part of the cat. What was your idea of picking like a panther instead of maybe doing a tiger, or is it just you like black?
I guess the colors, because the orange and black, always go together very well. The two colors that go to, with it, go together real well. And I wanted to put bright colors, down low with black, and Black Panther kind of fit the profile. So.
Gotcha.
It's been great ever since.
So how was the I know I'm picking your brain on the past here,
right?
but how long do you remember the process of getting everything completed, the paint and even I know probably it was a trial and error just to fit the front clip onto the truck in general.
Absolutely. I want to say it was almost 6 months, by the time we decided to pull the trigger on it. By the time we got the first piece, and test fitted and all that, it was at least probably 6 months.
How much I also noticed with test fitting trucks that you take a lot of fiberglass off because you need wheel room, tire room, turning. Yes. When you first did that truck, and probably today, how much of the piece of the cat body is trimmed off, or you have
Yeah,
the
the wheel
mold?
well openings, actually are substantially bigger than what the mold is, because originally it was on a leaf spring truck.
Okay.
So you didn't have the wheel travel. Well, now with the race truck, we had to go in there and cut out almost 6 inches of body, and then in this cheek area we had to go back almost 8 or 10 inches, and trim that out so that you had wheel clearance.
Mm-hmm.
At first we didn't do that. Well, we went to the show, the tires smacks the body, well, busts it all apart. So then you go in there with a saw and you cut that part out. Go the next week, it did the same thing until we finally got it far enough to where it wouldn't hit the body anymore. So then we knew from that point forward that's where it needed to be cut. So any new pieces now we already know, where it's where it's got to be trimmed at.
So there wasn't really a change in trimming from the newest truck that you had from the Patrick?
No, it's pretty much the same.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then who you into it too? So because I know you guys also have to do the little detail of the teeth also.
Right. My guy there at home that was doing my paint work, he's an airbrush artist also, and he's actually the one that did all the paint work originally. And
the whole truck's painted, even the name, right?
Now the name's still vinyl lettering for the name, but my airbrush guy did all the artwork and stuff on it. He did a phenomenal job, and I just tell him he's too talented sometimes for his own good to come up with some of the ideas that he has over the years, and it's been pretty cool.
A lot of people always talked about they like the airbrush one that you ran in the late 90s to 2000, where it was really detailed. It had the little bit of the white fade to it, looked like cat fur and stuff like that.
Well, stay tuned, because we actually have a brand new body right now that I just picked up 3 or 4 days ago before we came up here to the Hall of Fame, and I'll start January of 22 with it. Actually had it vinyl wrapped this time because of repairability. If you wreck a panel, they can print a new section, put it on, and trying to touch up airbrush work has gotten to be pretty tough to do to make it look the same. So I had to make a decision to go with the vinyl wrap this time, just because of repairability on these new trucks. I mean, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when you tear something up. So we done it that way. But I have a brand spanking new body ready to go on. And I'm going to finish out this year with the body I have, and then in January I'll have the new body on, and it's pretty awesome.
And a lot of people may not know that. People always say like Pablo or Patrick. You have put your hands in a lot of the parts game too.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot of trucks. I know for a while Kohler was running your rims for the longest time.
Yeah, there was a whole mess of people had been running my wheels, for the longest time. Kohler is one of my biggest customers, and everything on my own trucks, all my own wheels, and shocks. I mean, I do shocks, I do wheels, I do chassis. I mean, I do from the simplest part, like everybody, like Patrick does, Pablo does. There's probably half a dozen of us out there. You can call us up and you can get a turnkey truck, if you want to spend the money. And it goes back to what I said earlier, is the creative part. I love to be in the shop, and take that pile of steel and make something out of it. And in all my hours driving up and down the interstates from show to show, my brain's always wandering. Okay, that part there failed. Okay, what do we need to do to make that part better? And my brain never shuts off. So it's, and that's parts that I like to do, is things that help the industry move forward.
Also someone told me, Lenny Kilner also mentioned about how you're like that, and you're always wanting to try stuff new, and try to experiment and stuff like that. And I had him on a guest also.
Okay.
He's still proud of representing you, and now I guess he's about to get married and everything like that.
Right.
So
life happens, and he did a great job for me. There might be a time.
You ran your second team, right?
Yes, and there might be a time he might be back when he feels ready. He's welcome to come back. He knows that. And we see each other all the time, so it's been good. And like you said, I'm never one to say, okay, that's good enough. I'm always looking for the next best thing. And what I got in mind for a new race truck, I guarantee you it's going to be,
better bring your lunch bag.
It's going to be outside the box.
Yeah.
People hadn't even thought about. It's going to be pretty cool.
And I think that's one thing that's missing in the industry right now.
Absolutely. Basically this industry right now is a cookie cutter of it. I mean, you got 3 or 4 guys that are building trucks. Okay, you can call up this guy. There's a complete truck. You call up this guy's a complete truck, and they're pretty much all identical. When we started the industry, if you were going to build a truck, okay, you had ideas. I had ideas. The next guy had ideas. That's where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And we've lost that. We've lost that originality. It's not there anymore. There's only a handful of us that still think outside the box, and try and propel us that next step forward, and it's at the point right now, the trucks have gotten back to 12, 13, 14,000 pounds. We learned 25 years ago that was the wrong direction to go. Things need to be lightened back up, because you've gone now from a 15,000 pound truck breaking parts back to a 10,000 pound truck. Well, you took 5,000 that truck, things started living. They weren't breaking as much. Well, now they've added this and added that. Well, now they're back to breaking parts and knocking wheels off and everything else. You need to back the other direction and start lightening things back up in order for them to stay together. They want the trucks to fly higher, farther, and all that. They're going to get rid of that weight, and they're going to land better. They're going to stop better because you're not trying to stop an extra 4,000 or 5,000 pounds. Mm-hmm. Parts will start living again.
Yeah, it seems like it's our industry is like always like this sometimes.
Absolutely.
And then occasionally, like they said earlier here, I don't believe there's a ceiling. I just believe there's always...
No, there's not. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. And this year, in 21, I've been extremely busy. I've only had 3 weekends off the entire year, and attendances at all the events that we've been to have been absolutely phenomenal. So I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
Man, that's awesome. Well, Alan, I'll get back to work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll
Absolutely.
just go ahead and close this up, and
we'll
go ahead and end this episode. But once again, I'm at the Monster Truck Hall of Fame, doing some episodes for my podcast, Crush This. And
absolutely.
And that's Alan Pezo, the man, the myth, the legend.
Well, thank you. It's almost like a therapy session,
Yeah.
So it was all good.
It was cool to talk about it and a little bit more in depth, the technical side of it. I always tell these people. I remember the SNL skit where Chris Farley's talking to Paul McCartney,
right?
And he says, "Remember when you played the Beatles?" He says, "Yes, I did." Man, that was awesome.
Right.
I never wanted to ever do that, and I always like to give people the in-depth side of it. Why is it? Why you're doing it? Mm-hmm. Why go outside the box there? What was the shock question? And when you built your current Predator truck, you build it, during the same time as, the guys in North Carolina was building Gravedigger 20, and
right.
How that truck was like low and sling, and and all you guys are trying to not catch up, but beat up on old Tom.
Oh yeah.
With his truck that kind of in the early 2000s pretty much dominated.
It's still basically it's a Taurus truck. And Taurus dominated for how many years? So hats off to Jack Willman and them for coming up with that design. And it's been a proven design even still today. It still runs very well. Yeah, and then you're still rocking the truck today, like you said. It's probably the best piece that you have. Absolutely. And the truck itself is still rocking today. Absolutely. I can't wait to see the new one. But hopefully maybe here in 22 we'll get started on it. Just got so many irons in the fire right now. Hopefully see on 2023. No, hopefully sometime in 22. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I have everything laying there ready to go. Just got to get some tubing, start the chassis, but I mean, everything else is there, axle components, motor, transmissions, all that's already there. So that time gap that you had when you had Dan Patrick build this 2 chassis for you, the current one that you have is actually a in-house chassis. That is correct, yes. Okay. All right. I built that in 06 and started January of 2007.
Okay. And then the
And
new
we
one
built
that's
that truck in 28 days.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my.
The four of us was round the clock, but we built that entire truck. I mean, every piece of it in 28 days.
And then the next one that's coming up is going to be another in-house.
That's correct.
All right, that's cool. So look out for that, guys. Thank you for watching. Once again, this is a pre-recording of the. So if you guys are asking questions, he doesn't.
I can't hear you.
So just wanted to give you guys a heads up and tell you guys, about that. But once again, guys, thank you for watching. Also, thank you to High Octane Coffee, Joey Sylvester,
Yep.
J Concepts, JB Skill Graphics, Justin Stories, Back Channel Productions that did the filming for the Outlaw Monster Truck Jacks. Nick Davis did that stuff, and also
fantastic job he done.
Does a really good one, and also 6B Apparel that helps us with our uniforms and stuff like that. Thank you for all the 5-star likes on iTunes, Spotify, and this episode will be also on YouTube and Facebook. Heck, you're watching already, so that way it goes. But once again, I'm Dan Agosh. That's Tom Pezo.
Thank you.
And like we always say, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.